wrestling fans are eager to know about the magic behind the scenes and wrestling's inner workings. Join us now as Wrestlelamia looks at 10 more wrestling secrets the WWE doesn't want you to know. Number 1. High falls through the announcer's table. Fans are usually impressed when they see a superstar thrown from the top of a cage through the announcer's table. But how dangerous a spot is this? Perhaps not as bad as you think. Shane McMahon is no stranger to falling off the top of a Hell in a Cell cage and through the announcer's table, having performed the spot during his Wrestlemania 32 bout against The Undertaker and 2017's Hell in a Cell match up against Kevin Owens. While this spot is impressive and a Shane O'Mac's signature move, Shane appears to have some extra help with his landing. Eagle-eyed fans claim they saw what appeared to be some sort of air cushion under the announcer table during their spot at Wrestlemania 32. During an episode of the Wrestling Observer Radio, wrestling curmudgeon Dave Meltzer mentioned there was a crash pad used at Hell in a Cell, albeit a better hidden one than that at Shane's Wrestlemania match. There's also talk that a similar crash pad was used when Braun Strowman sent Kevin Owens off a cage and through a table at Extreme Rules. Regardless of any crash pad, it's an insane bump, whether it's Shane O'Mac or Kevin Owens performing it. Number 2. Breaking the ring. If you watched our recent video on instances where wrestlers broke a WWE ring, you'll recall it's happened on more than a handful of occasions. It's a trick move and this one definitely involves special preparations. Whether it's the famous Brock Lesnar vs Big Show match from the 12th June 2003 episode of SmackDown, or the 17th April 2017 Raw bout between Braun Strowman and the Big Show. Both involved two wrestling behemoths being superplexed, leading to the ring collapsing in an awesome manner and leaving fans breathless. It was a risky spot as it involved setting up air cushions under the ring, making it trickier for wrestlers to climb to the top for the superplex spot. According to the Big Show, the WWE stunt coordinator Ellis Edwards designed the sensational spectacle. We did a spot right before we broke the ring, where we were both down and they shot a real close-up of both of us selling. Well, in that time, Ellis had airbags under the ring, so they had lifted the ring a couple of inches. So now when I'm standing on that top corner, the ring is like standing on marbles, because it's moving. Of course, now I've got my fat ass up there in the air, 500 pounds are not a very stable surface. So then the ring broke. I just remember when it happened because you don't know how the stunt is going to look. But man, it was so perfectly timed the way we did it, and Ellis did a great job of setting it up. Number 3. How Braun Strowman lifted the ambulance. Braun Strowman's destruction of Roman Reigns in April 2017 was one of the most viewed segments on Raw, with fans clicking away at YouTube to watch Strowman tip over an ambulance containing Roman Reigns. While Strowman's act was well received with the live crowd chanting "Thank you Strowman" at the then heel wrestler, it should go without saying that it's physically impossible, even for a strongman competitor such as Braun Strowman. Keep in mind, an ambulance often weighs between 10,000 and 14,000 pounds. And while strongman competitors have flipped over cars, an ambulance is another story. Don't believe us? How about former strongman competitor and current strength coach Michael Gill saying, "There is no way a human could flip an ambulance. The amount of force necessary could be calculated by a physicist, but it would be crazy, given the fact that most of them are also designed to not flip on their side during high-speed driving would also make it a more daunting task." There was a world strongman where I believe they had to do 3. I don't think a record for a car flip currently exists, and I haven't seen it in a contest since I did it a decade ago. So while this feat was humanly impossible, it was done thanks to the magic of television and the help of some well-placed and well-concealed hydraulics. The WWE has also relied on some clever camera positioning, because while fans saw the monster among men lift up an ambulance, they didn't see the other side of the ambulance, which obviously had hydraulics attached to it. There are other clues such as the fact that the camera operator doesn't shoot a long shot of Strowman lifting the ambulance, as it's possible this could have shown the hydraulics at work. You'll also see what looks to be a shadow emerging from the rear of the ambulance, a shadow which probably belongs to Roman Reigns. While Braun Strowman didn't lift the ambulance without some help, it's still an incredible stunt and one wrestling fans still talk about today. Number 4. How Braun Strowman threw Roman Reigns off a loading dock. Speaking of that infamous night, How did Braun Strowman throw Roman Reigns off the loading dock while the big dog was strapped to a gurney? Once again, the WWE used strategic camera angles to achieve the effect of Braun pushing Roman over the edge while he was strapped to the gurney. In reality, the WWE put a dummy, presumably a member of WWE Creative, on the gurney before Strowman threw it off. If you watch the attack, Strowman's back blocks any shot of who is on the gurney until the camera shows Roman down on the ground. It's another example of how well-timed and placed shots can create the illusion of someone getting murderized on live television. Number 5. John Cena driving the Mustang at Wrestlemania 23. WWE icon John Cena has come a long way from the days of where he lived out of his car, a 1991 Lincoln Continental. By 2007, Cena was known for his collection of custom cars, so it was no surprise that he drove a Shelby Mustang GTH for a spectacular entrance at WrestleMania 23 in Detroit, Michigan. WWE Champion John Cena drove a Shelby Mustang through a glass window. Or did he? The stunt, said to have cost $100,000, still has fans wondering whether it was a chain gang soldier behind the wheel or a stunt driver. Given Cena's position in the company, it's hard to believe he drove the car during this moderately dangerous stunt. If you watch his entrance, you'll notice no one gets out of the car for nearly a minute after it stops, giving Cena time to get into the driver's seat and emerge out of it. Since the car windows were heavily tinted, it's impossible to see if anyone else was in the car. Number 6. Hanging the Big Bossman at WrestleMania 15. Although the Big Bossman's hanging at WrestleMania 15 wasn't the first time a wrestler was hanged, it's hard to think of any spot as gruesome as this one during the showcase of the Immortals. After defeating the Big Bossman in a Hell in a Cell match, the Undertaker's henchman The Brood descended from the rafters and dropped a noose into the ring. The Undertaker then proceeded to put the noose around Bossman's neck, and the fans watched in horror as the Bossman was lifted into the air as Paul Bearer hit a control, causing the cell to rise. How did the WWF pull this one off without future endeavoring the Big Bossman for good? Once again, stunt magic created the illusion of Ray Traylor, aka the Big Bossman, being hanged for daring to cross paths with the Undertaker and his Ministry of Darkness. While it's impossible to see, the rope was actually attached to the Big Bossman's safety harness, not his neck. The Undertaker placed a noose around the Bossman's neck, but since the rope holding him was separate, there was no tension around his neck. Number 7. Blowing up Mr. McMahon's limo on Raw. This angle saw Vince McMahon's appreciation night turn into a night full of insults for the WWE's head honcho, with current superstars and former superstars belittling the boss. A dejected Vince entered his limo, only for it to blow up, leaving fans to wonder who killed Mr. McMahon. Unfortunately, during the time, the Chris Benoit murder-suicide happened, and the WWE dropped the angle immediately. However, did the WWE blow up Mr. McMahon on live television? The secret is that the company staged the explosion the night before, then spliced in the footage with video of Mr. McMahon entering the limo. If you watch the video, you'll probably notice a second production truck that is there, as well as a puddle in front of the limo. Whether these are continuity goofs or just different camera angles will determine how well you think the WWE pulled off this stunt. Number 8. Ending a match. Have you ever wondered how referees told wrestlers to wrap up a match in the days before referees wore earpieces? There were several ways to do this. The first was for an agent to walk out to the gorilla position and make a signal such as taking off their glasses or holding up a folder. When shows were being filmed, an announcer could subtly signal for a match to end as they were wired to the backstage area. Another method was for someone at ringside to keep track of time, such as a ring announcer, and make a similar gesture. Of course, this meant the person had to know what they're doing or things could go awry. Number 9. The Inferno Match. The Inferno Match is one of the craziest matches ever seen in a WWE ring, and quite frankly, it's so dangerous that you rarely see it. Whether it's the ring of fire surrounding the squared circle, or the stipulation that the only way you can win the bout is setting your opponent on fire, it goes without saying that this is an accident waiting to happen. Nonetheless, this is another example of controlled chaos as the person slated to be set on fire wears fire retardant clothing. For example, when Kane was set on fire in an Inferno match way back in 1998, it was his clothed right arm that was torched as opposed to his naked left arm. Number 10. The Undertaker shoots lightning at Kurt Angle. 2006's Royal Rumble saw the phenomenal shot of The Undertaker showing up and shooting a lightning bolt towards the ring Kurt Angle was standing in, followed by bolts descending to destroy the ring, knocking the Olympic champion for a loop. The shot, like all The Undertaker's special effects, looked nothing short of amazing to viewers at home, but not so much for the live crowd. The WWE used special effects to make it look as if The Undertaker was shooting lightning bolts out of his hands, but those in attendance saw a less spectacular pyro display. Still, it's doubtful anyone in attendance felt cheated. Well guys, there you have it, 10 more wrestling secrets the WWE doesn't want you to know about. Let us know in the comments down below what you think was the best stunt WWE has ever pulled off. As always, subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you next time with some more wrestling content.